move that has sparked outrage and raised eyebrows across New York City, Mayor Eric Adams has found himself at the center of a swirling controversy.
To keep New York City on the upward trajectory, we have to work together. And that was my conversation I had with my colleagues in Albany, and they are clear that there's some challenging times ahead.
The revelation of the mayor's decision to issue prepaid cash cards to migrants aimed at addressing the city's ongoing migrant crisis has left many residents stunned. However, what's truly shocking isn't just the allocation of funds, but the covert manner in which millions seem to vanish into thin air.
February 5th, Mayor Adams announced a pilot program to provide 500 migrant families with prepaid debit cards. But these cards can only be used to buy about $12 worth of food or baby supplies per day per person.
Despite the magnitude of this decision, the mayor's office has kept a tight lid on the details, leading to widespread public misperceptions and heated debates. Questions are being raised regarding the transparency of the program, the efficacy of its implementation, and the accountability of those involved. With such a significant allocation of taxpayer dollars, concerns about misuse and mismanagement loom large. As the city grapples with pressing issues of homelessness, economic disparity, and public safety, the mayor's handling of this controversy has only intensified the scrutiny on his administration. In today's video, we will dig deeper into the heart of the matter, dissecting the fine details of this controversial program and shedding light on the true extent of the fund's disappearance under Mayor Adams' watch. The debit card program unveiled. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, recently made news when he unveiled a groundbreaking $53 million debit card program. Assisting migrant families living in the city, the project constitutes an important change from conventional aid distribution methods. During the official announcement, Mayor Adams emphasized the core objectives of the program. He highlighted the program's aim to modernize support for migrant families by introducing prepaid debit cards as an alternative to traditional food distribution methods. The mayor underscored the program's goal to enhance efficiency and cost effectiveness while granting recipients increased autonomy in addressing their immediate needs. The initiative seeks to empower migrant families by providing them with greater flexibility in accessing essential resources.
Ongoing migrant surge. More than 173,000 migrants and asylum seekers have arrived in New York City since the spring of 2022. Both the New York Democratic governor and the mayor have been pleading for federal support, insisting the city is at a breaking point.
But the introduction of the debit card program has generated a lot of discussion and important concerns about how it will be carried out. One significant issue is the lack of strong fraud control and identity verification procedures. In contrast to other aid initiatives that need strict eligibility verification, the debit card program lacks all those strong security measures to prevent any misappropriation of public funds. There is a part of the contract that states cardholders will not be subject to ID verification.
Once, the mayor had been sounding the alarm that due to the financial strain of the migrant crisis, the city would see cuts to essential services. The Adams administration says a better than expected tax revenue, as well as efforts to reduce migrant spending, have helped put the city in a better path financially.
And the city shall be responsible for the accurate delivery of cards to consumers. After delivery of cards to the city shall be responsible for the security of the cards until delivered to the cardholders. Cardholders can pay for any goods services at any business merchant that accepts MasterCard. Critics claim that because of the program's inadequate monitoring, it is open to misuse and exploitation. The possibility of someone manipulating the system for their own benefit is increased in the absence of proper fraud control measures or identity verification processes. Furthermore, the program's lack of accountability methods may cause the public to lose faith in it and question its ability to effectively target the most vulnerable. As discussions surrounding the program intensify, calls for increased transparency and accountability have grown louder. Many advocates and concerned citizens emphasize the importance of implementing stringent monitoring mechanisms to track the usage of debit cards and prevent fraudulent activities. Additionally, there is a pressing need for the mayor's office to address lingering uncertainties regarding the program's ability to effectively address the needs of migrant families while safeguarding taxpayer money. Criticisms and concerns. The debit card program introduced by Mayor Eric Adams has faced significant criticisms and raised valid concerns about transparency and the potential for misuse of funds. Critics have pointed out the lack of clarity surrounding the program's implementation and the absence of robust accountability measures. Critics, including Nicole Jelinas from the NYP, have raised alarm about the program's financial risks. highlighting the lack of ID verification, restrictions, and fraud control. Jelinas warns that the program could become an open-ended, multi-billion-dollar Bermuda Triangle of disappearing, untraceable cash. Mayor Eric Adams' initiative to provide prepaid credit cards to migrants has drawn criticism from notable figures like Texas Governor Greg Abbott and rapper 50 Cent. Governor Abbott condemned the program as insanity, expressing concerns about its potential misuse of taxpayer funds. He pointed to recent incidents involving migrants in New York City, including an assault on police officers near Times Square, attributing them to the perceived consequences of President Biden's open border policies. Abbott stated, "It sounds like insanity is behind it because it really is offensive. It may be the most reprehensible thing that I've seen take place over the past 48 hours." In response to the controversy, 50 Cent engaged in a discussion with Mayor Adams about the program. After their conversation, 50 Cent took to social media to share insights, noting Mayor Adams' apparent understanding of the program's objectives. I talked to NYC Mayor Eric Adams. He broke down why this pilot program was put in place. He appeared to be on point, and on top of things, now I want to talk to Governor Kathy Hochul about the laws preventing him from doing things to make the situation better in New York, and where the proposed $2.4 billion she's planning on spending on migrants is coming from, not my taxes. The rapper's dialogue with Mayor Adams came after the mayor invited him to discuss the program's intricacies, emphasizing its potential for significant cost savings. Mayor Adams' outreach to 50 Cent followed the rapper's public expression of confusion about the program's mechanics on social media. In response to the mayor's invitation, 50 Cent deleted a previous post expressing bewilderment, suggesting that former President Trump might hold the answers. WTF Mayor Adams, call my phone. I don't understand how this works. Somebody explain. Ari Melber can't explain this. I'm stuck. Maybe Trump's the answer. Selection of the vendor. Moving on, let's take a look at the company that has been selected to carry out this program. The selection of Mobility Capital Finance, or MoCaFi, as the vendor for New York City's prepaid credit card program for migrants has come under scrutiny for its lack of transparency and competitive bidding. Despite the city's vast pool of financial services providers, the Housing Preservation and Development, or HPD department, only considered MoCaFi for the contract. MoCaFi, founded by Wole Coaxum, a former managing director at JP Morgan Chase, who said the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014 inspired him to serve the underbanked and narrow the racial wealth gap. MoCaFi was referred to HPD by City Hall. The contract explicitly states that MoCaFi was recommended by City Hall, raising questions about the selection process and potential conflicts of interest. The program, aimed at giving asylum seekers autonomy in purchasing food and necessities, has come under scrutiny for its hefty $53 million price tag and the lack of competitive bidding in awarding the contract to Mobility Capital Finance. City Council member Gail Brewer has voiced concerns over the no-bid contract, emphasizing the need for transparency and accountability in taxpayer-funded initiatives.
I think you should bid it out to see who would do the best job at the best cost for taxpayers.
Councilmember Gail Brewer says she wants to investigate a pilot program launched by Mayor Adams to give asylum seekers prepaid debit cards that will allow them to buy food, baby products, and other necessities at supermarkets, bodegas, groceries, and convenience stores.
The contract outlines substantial fees for Mobility Capital Finance, including setup fees and annual management fees, in addition to fees based on the amount of money distributed to migrants. Under the pilot program, 500 families residing in short-term hotels will receive prepaid debit cards, with individual cards capped at $10,000. Despite Mayor Adams' assertion that the program will save millions and reduce food waste, questions remain about its practical implementation and oversight. While Mayor Adams defends the program as an innovative solution to address the needs of asylum seekers, critics question whether alternative vendors could have provided similar services at a lower cost. In terms of experience, MoCaFi's track record in managing large-scale financial programs is limited. While the company has provided small-scale support for the city's participatory budget program, its primary expertise lies in offering prepaid third-party debit cards and bank accounts marketed to minorities. This lack of direct experience in managing a program of this magnitude raises concerns about its ability to effectively handle the complexities and challenges involved. The decision to award the contract to MoCaFi without exploring other qualified vendors or conducting a competitive bidding process has drawn criticism, particularly considering the potential risks associated with distributing large sums of cash with minimal oversight. The connection between City Hall and Mokify, as indicated by Mayor Adams' comment about meeting the company on the campaign trail, raises further questions about the motives behind the selection. Co-Oxum's involvement in the mayor's orbit, as evidenced by his participation in discussions about potential partnerships with City Hall, suggests a close relationship between Mokify and the administration, prompting concerns about favoritism in the vendor selection process, the misleading cost of the program. Despite initial impressions, the total cost of New York City's prepaid debit card program for migrants is not solely reflected in the reported $53 million service fee outlined in the contract with Mobility Capital Finance. This figure represents the administrative expenses associated with managing the program, including setup fees, management fees, and fees based on the amount of money distributed to migrants. It's crucial to understand that the $53 million service fee does not directly translate to the total amount of money provided to migrants. Instead, it covers the costs incurred by Mokify for administering the program, including card issuance, distribution, and other operational expenses. The actual funds received by migrants will depend on various factors, such as the number of participants, individual allocations, and the frequency of card reloads. Moreover, there is a significant potential for the program's costs to escalate beyond the initial estimates. As the program expands to accommodate more migrant families and potentially extends beyond the initial pilot phase, additional expenses may arise. These could include higher management fees, increased distribution costs, and unforeseen operational challenges. Additionally, the contract with Mokify includes provisions for ongoing fees based on the volume of funds distributed to migrants. This arrangement creates the potential for escalating costs if the program experiences higher than anticipated usage, or if additional services are required to support its operation effectively. The NYP wrote, as the contract document clearly and explicitly states, over the year's term, in exchange for Mokify's performance of the services, the city shall pay to the contractor a total amount not to exceed $53 million in accordance with the scope of services and fees. That scope of services does not include the money that the migrants actually receive on their debit cards. The city funds the cards, that is, puts money on them, separately. In other words, for a maximum of $53 million, Mokify issues blank MasterCards in bulk. And for the service provided, Mokify not only makes money from each card distributed, but gets a 3% fee on the first $50 million the city puts on the cards. That is $1.5 million. That fee drops, but only slightly, after that first $50 million. Lack of oversight and fraud prevention. The absence of monitoring and integrated fraud controls in the prepaid debit card program for migrants in New York City has drawn concern. This program doesn't seem to have enough security measures against financial mismanagement and fraudulent activity as compared to traditional assistance programs, which usually have strict eligibility requirements and strong fraud prevention procedures. The lack of public and city council evaluation is one of the main concerns. There are concerns regarding accountability and transparency in the procurement process because Mobility Capital Finance, Mokify, was chosen to carry out the program and get the contract without holding a competitive bidding. Without enough control, it is difficult to determine if the program is accomplishing its goals and how public money is being used. Moreover, there don't seem to be any integrated fraud safeguards in the program's design. The prepaid debit card program for migrants apparently needs no ID verification or evidence of residency, in contrast to typical assistance programs that have stringent eligibility rules, such as income limitations and residency requirements. Due to the absence of verification, it is possible for someone to fraudulently claim more than one card or use them for improper purposes without being caught. Traditional welfare programs, on the other hand, frequently include stringent verification procedures and fraud detection techniques to deter misuse and guarantee that benefits are given to people who actually need them. Applications for these programs usually need to provide supporting evidence, such as confirmation of residency, income statements, and household size. Furthermore, they might utilize methods like data matching and cross-referencing to identify potential fraudsters and deter fraudulent activities. This lack of oversight and fraud prevention can open doors to many potential risks and concerns. Potential risks and consequences. Giving someone untraceable cash without conducting the necessary verification has a high chance of negative consequences. The prepaid debit card program for migrants can be subjected to abuse by both criminals and receivers in the absence of strict control and verification procedures. For example, the possibility of fraudulent behavior is one significant concern, as users may take advantage of the system by getting multiple cards or using them for illegal activities. Vulnerable recipients may also be targeted by criminal groups who might force them into surrendering their cards or to engage it in illegal activity. Furthermore, there is a greater chance of financial mismanagement and misuse when there is a lack of accountability and transparency. Taxpayer funds might be wasted or diverted from their original purpose in the absence of defined criteria and oversight procedures, which would undermine the program's efficiency and public trust in government initiatives. In conclusion, the prepaid debit card program for migrants in New York City suffers from significant flaws and shortcomings that jeopardize its integrity and effectiveness. The lack of proper verification, oversight, and fraud prevention measures exposes the program to exploitation and misuse, with potentially dire consequences for both migrants and taxpayers. To address these issues, there is an urgent need for increased transparency, accountability, and a thorough reevaluation of the program's design and implementation. City officials must prioritize the safeguarding of taxpayer funds while ensuring that the program effectively meets the needs of migrants and contributes to the city's broader goals of inclusion and support for vulnerable populations. By taking proactive measures to address these concerns, New York City can better serve its residents and uphold principles of responsible governance.